So this is nice and light, doesn't take up much space either, so it clips into 3 pieces. And this is what we call a gauge rake. So now if I had to lift the floor about 1/4 inch, I would use a 1/4 inch cam. I believe I'm not mistaken, that is a number 4. This is going to come with a multi-size cam. And if you don't know what a cam is, this is a cam, this little single piece that's a star. Okay, and you see the numbers that are there. Okay, 1 through 5. And depending on the number it is going to be the size gauge that's going to be on the floor. Because you can see the spacing that I have between that cam. I'm going to basically screed the floor when I pull away, and I leave that exact amount of lift on them. So this is a universal cam that has multiple on them. Let me show you what it actually looks like if you want more specific to one number. Grab that for you. So this would be a number 8 size cam. Number 16, here we go. This one's in a package, so you can see exactly what each size means. So a number 1 is a 1/16 of an inch, a 2 is an 1/8, 3 is 3/16, 4 is a 1/4, and so on. A number 16 being 1 inch. So I would put these cams right on this edge. So if I wanted to do a 1 inch lift, that's the spacing I'm gonna have on my tool. Now notice it has 3 sides on it. Okay, let's see if I have one that's worn out here, so you can see, yes, they're made out of metal, but remember, you are pulling these over either sand broadcast or CSP3 concrete. So notice, good corner, this is number 3, so this is 3/16. That side's good, but notice that side's worn down. So keep an eye on this, because if you're flat on the floor, you're not pulling the right screed. So 3 lives on it. The kit that we're gonna have is gonna have a multi-tool. So you know you get one in one shot, but from there you reorder and get the size that are appropriate for you. Okay, so this is gonna be step 1 of tooling. Is gonna be a gauge rake, and I'll demonstrate how that works once we go through the entire tooling kit. All right. Also, it comes with a smoother. This would come on the same exact extension pole. This is similar to a trowel. This is going to slide on the floor, the surface of the floor, and break the surface tension. Okay, so this is to follow a gauge rake. It's also going to come with a spike roller. Okay, this also breaks the surface tension, takes all the bubbles out. All right, and it's going to come with this handle that clicks right onto the spike roller and goes onto the same exact extension pole. Now, do you need to have a spike roller or a smoother? For subfloors, for underlayments, I prefer a smoother, because a smoother costs you, let's say, I don't know, $30, where a spike roller can cost you up to $300. So if you have someone who actually uses this spike roller and forgets to wash it, well, guess what? You're out the door $300. So being a subfloor and you're going to bury it, I'm a fan of smoothers. It's more primarily for overlayments, but it's either or. Everyone has their means and methods. They both work. The idea, they both break the surface tension. So do whichever one is best for you, but both of them are included in the toolkit. Comes with a mixer. Notice it's an oval shape, not typical what you guys see with your adhesives. Different type of shear strength on those drills. Extra smoother. That one's mine. That's not supposed to be in there. You get one of those in the kit. But also, it comes with a set of spike shoes. All right, so this toolkit gives you everything you need, the right tooling to do a self-leveling job efficiently and effectively. Okay, so now I'm left just with an empty barrel, and I'm going to demonstrate how do you use these tools. Now, what I did here is I put some tape on the floor to mimic walls. So let's say my job is literally here. Let's put this to scale. I'm really just 2 or 3 feet wide. Let's say it's 30 feet. Okay, but we're putting this to scale so you can see exactly what I'm doing. Now, you can mix self-leveling in a 5-gallon bucket, do 1 bag at a time, or you can do a mixing barrel and mix up to 3 to 4 bags at a time. Okay, so your production rate immediately becomes a threefold. All right, so measuring water. So the idea is not for you to measure water for every single mix. Use a tool, we call it a cut bucket, and I'll show you how this works. What this does is you don't have to lose time mixing your water, because once you start, you don't want to finish. You have to keep your wet edge. That's why this tooling is so important, so you know how to use it. Okay, think of it as a game of chess. If you don't know what you're doing, you're just going to become a pawn. But if you can use these tools to your advantage, it gets very fun and very interesting. Okay, so I'm going to give an example. We're going to use this garbage can. Let's pretend this is a 55-gallon garbage can, a drum. Okay, and I have a 2x4 on top of this. And inside this garbage can, it's completely full with water. All right, and I have ice in it. Ice in the bag. Do not open the bag. Just throw, depending on your job site, you want to keep iced bags in there. So however much you need to keep it iced, that's very important. Water temperature is going to be very critical. So what I did here is NXT level is 4 to 4.5 quarts of water per bag. So this is what a cut bucket would look like. So 9 quarts. So that's going to be a 2-bag mix. I measured, so I put 9 quarts in here, and I cut a line so it'll drain on its own. So what I would do in this garbage can is I dump it in the bucket, I pick it up, I sit it on that 2x4, and it's self-draining. So while I'm mixing, this thing is all ready to go for my next batch. Now when you're pouring this, don't pour this way, because what happens? You're going to lose your water and you're going to miss your bucket. So always turn it away with this part facing you and dump it into your mixing barrel. Okay? So we covered the tooling on how to mix this and how to efficiently measure your water without having someone dedicated to counting in ounces. That becomes seamless, and it's just dump and go at that point. Now, let's talk about mixing material. So let's say I have a large job. Mixing 1 bag at a time is going to be backbreaking, okay, or very time consuming, not backbreaking. Backbreaking is mixing 3 to 4 bags at a time and not having a tipping cart to mix it. Because I want to mimic something for you. Let's say I have 4 bags of material mixing here, okay, and this is my wall. This is my line here. How do I, without making a mess, I can't dump this a straight line parallel to that wall. Up here would be a lot easier, but it's going to go everywhere. I would literally have to squat down. So I have somebody else over here. So now I'm wasting another body that could be doing something else more productive. And I would literally have to squat down, and we're going to walk together across and pour straight lines. That's backbreaking, okay? But with this tool, what it allows me to do, one, it allows me to run the material. It's on caster, so you can literally run with your material, and you're going to dump and pour straight lines, just like that. Literally on wheels. Fling it back to your mixing guy. His water's already pre-mixed. He dumps it in. He starts mixing his next batch. Okay, so guys, let's work smarter, not harder. Use the tools to your advantage, and it makes you a very dangerous contractor. All right, so let's put this out of the way. Now let's say I have my ribbon of material is still there. First thing you're going to do is grab your gauge rake. I do not have a cam on here, okay, but let's say I have a number 4 on each side. Okay, that's going to gauge this entire rod a 1/4 inch off the ground. So the first thing I'm going to do is push that ribbon of material. Ribbon is a line of product. I'm going to push it into the wall pick it up, and pull back as far as it goes. And I'm going to move over and continue to do the same. Now that's the importance of pouring straight lines, because what happens? When I pull this away as far as it allows me, I'm going to have a variance maybe of 6 inches tops. But if I'm strong enough to do this and not use a tipping cart, but I'm doing it upright, you're not going to have a straight line of material. I guarantee it. So what happens is you end up having a wave, and it's not consistent in your gauge rate. You're trying to catch up with the material. Remember, you want to keep a wet edge, so make this easier for you. Okay? So I stretched this entire material out. I pulled it back at a 1/4 inch, and my next round of material is ready. So my runner comes back, and I am going to pour wet on wet. And that's going to go along that very edge where I finished. And the cycle is going to continue. Okay, you don't stop when you start. So, sorry, I had a phone call there. I'm going to have to marry that material. So what I'm going to do is, with the same gauge rake, I'm going to push it into that 1/4 inch of material, pick it up, and pull it back. And that cycle continues. Okay? Once I'm about 10 to 20 feet away, I prefer 10, the next person on spike shoes is going to walk in the material. Now, does the gauge rake guy have to be on spikes? No, he doesn't. In theory, if he's doing it right, his feet are clean. He's still in his boots. But the person that's using the smoother has to be on spike shoes, because now you're walking in wet mud. So what he's going to do is, from edge to edge, follow through. And it becomes a rhythm, and you're staying about 10 feet behind your person on your gauge rake. Now, it could be either or, whether you do your smoother or spike roller. This is a porcupine roller. This one's made out of metal. The one in the kit is going to be plastic. We found that one actually pulls a lot better for overlayments. So that's our preference in our toolkit. But either one is fine for a spike roller. Remember, this is an underlayment, you're going to bury it anyway. So either tool can count. So it's either or. You don't have to smooth and then spike. So that's the method. I'm going wall to wall. I'm not doing a paint method and overworking this material. The more you work with it, the faster it's going to heat up. So gauge it, smooth it, and continue. All right? This out the way. So now we covered our tooling, and that's a sequence of events for self-leveling. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do a demonstration of NXT level, and I'm going to grab the same board that we used yesterday that we've been making through the week. Let's make sure you guys can see that. I took the pins off because I don't want to bring this to 0, because I may spill over my garage. I like my garage. I don't want it to be concrete. It's a nice Sparta coat floor. So we're going to mix NXT level here. Now on a smaller scale, I'm going to use smaller tools. And I'm doing this intentionally because not all jobs are large. Some of them are small. Someone can be a bathroom, for example. It's just a 2 to 3 bag mix. So you can use a notch trowel, a V-notch, and a drywall knife. Makes it really easy to get around in hard to reach places, especially around a toilet. Okay. So these are the tooling we're going to use in this demo. Just prepare everything so I don't have any hiccups during this mix. So before you mix your material, I already have my water pre-measured. I have 4.5 quarts here, and I have a refrigerator there. So I refrigerated the water to keep it cool. But use, I believe these are called infrared guns. You're going to use one of these to measure your substrate. Read the technical data sheets. It tells you how much water you need, what the surface prep is. It covers everything that we talked about today. All right, but it also tells you what your substrate needs to be and what the ideal conditions are. So let's see what my conditions are here today. So my substrate course, just turned to Celsius right on me, so I'm at 30, 29 Celsius. Of course, that happens right now. My material is at 28 degrees Celsius, and my water's at 19. So let me translate that for you. My water's 60 degrees, and my floor is about 85 degrees. 90 degrees is where you peak on this stuff. So if my water's not cool, I am borderline flirting with this material at its limits. Why do that to yourself? It's going to shorten your work time. So icing your water is very important, and we cover that. How to do that with your cup buckets, and that will drastically drop the temperature of my material when it's mixed, and it gives you more working time. So my water is pre-mixed. I'm going to get my mixing bucket. Four and a half quarts of water there. Put some gloves on. Let's keep this clean. So now I'm standing on a primed and mitigated floor. On this side I have NXT vapor reduction coating with silica sander refusal, 20-30 grit mesh. On this side I have prime and bond, which is our liquid sandpaper. It's our porous to non-porous primer. And in the middle I mimic what a vapor band would look like. It doesn't need either one of these. So let's say all three of these are suitable, mitigated and suitable substrates to pour on top of. Okay? Kind of MacGyver this today. Let's see if it holds up. Just in case it does not. Sorry, phone call came in. We're back. So we're gonna mix 2 minutes after the last bag is put in the mix. So this is a single bag mix. If I were doing my 15-gallon barrel, it would be 2 to 3 minutes after the last batch is put in. Remember we said what, 19 and 30. Now, one thing you may be used to, you adhesive guys, I believe the rule is 1-5-1. Mix 1 minute, slake 5, then mix another. You do not do this with any of our surface prep materials. You mix it and go. Excuse me. Now let's say realistically this is a small job. Let's say I'm doing a bathroom and there's still a toilet there, there's drains or there's harder to reach areas. I can't use a gauge rake or a smoother. And notice this material is flowing, it's self-leveling, but that doesn't mean you just dump it out the bucket and it's going to go in opposite corners. Okay, so use your tooling to put it where it needs to go. So this is a 1/4 inch notch trowel, and I'm going to push it to where it needs to go. Now that mimics my gauge rake. This is going to mimic my smoother. This is a drywall knife. And now what I'm going to do now is break the surface tension. Now notice you don't have to be careful and fragile. Once you get the rhythm of this, you're just floating it on top. Okay, and now I have a flat floor. In about an hour or two I can walk on this, and then you can start tiling on it. Okay, and the nice thing about this, I am chemically leveling a floor. I'm not manually doing this anymore. So an ace crew can do a mortar bed. The lawn services here, hang on one second. Perks of working from home, right guys? So, just broke the surface tension. Now, as I was saying, an ace crew can do a mortar bed and probably cover about 1,000 square feet in a day. All right, and that's with a good crew. If your floor is prepped and ready to go, you can self-level about 10,000 square feet easily in a day, depending on what you're doing. You can do single bag mixes, you can do tipping carts, stationary pumps, or even our super cap truck that can mix up to 600 bags per hour, and those are for volume projects. Okay, so this is what self-leveling looks like, and this will be ready to go and stand on in about an hour. Now let me take that out of the way, and we're going to do an overlayment. Hopefully that leaves me enough room to do one more mix. Of course, this thing changed on me to back to Fahrenheit, so let's see what my material's at now. It's back to Celsius, so now it's at 22. Remember, the substrate was 30 and my water was 19. I'm right at the median. I'm at about 22 degrees. That's translated to, let's say, what, 70, 75 degrees? Great conditions. All right? So now, let's make some fun. Make some fun out of this. So, yesterday, I mixed some Permacolor Select into this water, and keyword, yesterday. I found that when you're doing Permacolor Select with overlayments, it gets very foamy, especially if you mix it up and do it right away. So if you can do it hours before the day prior, that's what I did, to break down that color into that water, and that way I have no foam in my finish. But we're going to make a green floor. So my water is pre-measured. Okay, this is 6 quarts. I'm sorry, 5.5 quarts to qualify as an overlayment. Nice thing about DL, it can be an underlayment or an overlayment, just depending on the water content that you do. Alright, so my water is pre-measured. Let's dump this in here. Okay. So now before I start here, clean off this tool to make sure I have no contaminants. Okay, so now we're going to mix up a green NXT level DL. Here's the money shot, guys. No pun intended. same means and methods with the same tooling. I'm going to move this around. So now one thing I want to point out, the first product we did was NXT LEVEL. Alright, that's an underlayment. And that product has micro and macro sands in it. What does that mean? What that means is it has coarser and finer sands in it. So what that does is that allows you to go up to 3 inches in a single lift with NXT LEVEL. That's a unique thing about that product. But having macro sands in it, it can't go as neat as our Level Plus or our DL for that matter. So those only have micro sands in it, and that's why they peak at 1.25 inches. So NXT LEVEL behaves better at 3/16, and it can go up to 3 inches, where the DL can go as low as 1/8 of an inch, but peak at 1.25 inches. That's the difference between the two. NXT LEVEL comes in a 50-pound bag. This product here comes in 55. You notice I had to move the vacuum there because it was cutting close. Good thing we had a 6-gallon bucket so it didn't overflow. So another important reason why to refer to a technical data sheet, because not all products are universal. Read them, make sure you understand them, because if you overwater or underwater these things, it can really jeopardize your project. Sorry, so the phone is blowing up today, guys. So let's recap the entire week, what we've done so far. Monday, we covered surface prep by mechanical means, understanding how to prepare your floor to put anything on it. Tuesday, we covered moisture mitigation. This is how to prevent vapor coming up and causing your waterproofing or your sheet vinyl or your anti-fracture to blister and bubble up, or just efflorescence in general, because those soluble salts come through vapor. This is how you eliminate that. Okay. Yesterday we covered NIVCOM. This is a survey tool allowing you how to, by the millimeter, how to quantify how much material you need for your job, whether that be an underlayment or a mortar bed. And today is the cap that we put on this. Okay, so that is the finish. Now let's pretend this green floor is not here, because the green one would be a finish. At that point I'm done. I have the option of either putting a sealer on it. We have acrylic sealers. We have waterborne urethanes and polyaspartics that can go on top of this surface as a finish. Or you can, by mechanically means, you can polish it with an 8-step grind. With the similar tools that you would prepare this floor with, you're actually going to polish it. Think of it as sandpaper. You start with a coarser grit. The higher you go is creating a finer scratch pattern to where that scratch becomes so fine to where it reflects, and it's naturally polishing versus chemically polishing with some type of coating on top of it. Alright, now let's talk about the finish with NXT LEVEL. Now what I did here is now I have the mitigated, bonded canvas to a level floor or a flat surface for you to do what you do as a specialist. Whether that be carpet, tile, BCT, any sheet goods, anything for that matter. It's a good subfloor. It can go into various different channels of business. So that's for the idea here. How many of all your business is just tile? Probably not just tile. LVT, for example, is becoming very popular. They need to be leveled and mitigated underneath so they don't fail. So what this is going to tee into is to my counterparts showing you how to go on top of these systems, how to create a comprehensive warranty. And I want to spoil the fun for Danny because he's going to be covering warranties. But the inside joke I have with him is creating a LATICRETE sandwich. Okay, because a lot of times what happens on these job sites, the surface prep is subbed out by one other using products XYZ, and then someone else is coming in and putting LATICRETE on top of it. By default, you are throwing your comprehensive warranty away. Okay, so the idea here is how to put it all under one roof, comprehensive, so when something goes wrong, nobody's doing this. We're just doing this, and we're there to support you. Okay, so we covered surface prep, self-level, I believe. Oh, one last thing I want to cover is why we do this. So, like I said, Danny's going to come on here and start talking to you about warranties and tile, but I want you to understand why I am not covering anything regarding tile. I don't know tile, all right? I'm a specialist in surface prep, and we do that by design. So what does that do for you? That makes you more dangerous because now you have a rep that's qualified for prep and then someone to come here and put your finishes on top of it. Okay, a lot of manufacturer reps out there don't do that. They're just very one-sided. So by design, it's my job to know everything that my counterpart doesn't, and vice versa. And just to kind of show you what we're dealing with here, I'm certified by the ICRI for moisture testing. Now, why am I doing this? It would be completely biased if I did moisture testing as a manufacturer. It's more for credibility. When I show that on a job site, when I'm doing a walkthrough with a contractor, they don't question what I'm saying, what needs to be done, because I'm up to date with the industry standards, all right? And that's the added value for you, for us to be on the job site, to be in the playground with you guys and show you how to do this. So if this is something you want to learn how to do, reach out to us, happy to show you. Or this is something that you just want to have a comprehensive warranty but don't want to do it, talk to us too. We know subcontractors that do this for a living. Nice thing about Spartacoat is your current rep already has a counterpart that's fully equipped to do these type of surface preps. A Spartacoat guy is fully equipped to do moisture mitigation and surface prep, so it's a win-win for both of you. I believe I covered everything here, so that's the finish for surface prep. I'm going to tee this off to my counterparts and everyone else, so hoping you guys got some value out of this. It's fun stuff. So one thing I want to do as well is, yeah, I'm the Florida rep, but happy to help. My phone number is 954-798-4772. If you're going to message me, just do me a favor. Give me your name, your company name, and what's your region, so I can make sure that I'm relaying all this information with your current reps so everybody's up to speed and everyone's getting valid information. All right, guys, have a great day. Stay safe out there.